Welcome to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. Are you ready to discover some niche business ideas that actually work? Well, it's time for a motivational kick to jumpstart your next big idea. Here's your host, Spencer Haas.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Haas from nichepursuits.com. And today we got a good one for you. I've got my co-host with me, of course, Perrin. He's out here joining me as well. Perrin, how you doing?
Pretty good. I just want to give everybody a heads up that we have an air show in town today, which is very confusing for my dog. So if you hear what sounds like a little dog barking at a F-16, you are right. That's probably what it is.
Nice.
So we'll see if she makes it all the way through our podcast without going crazy.
We might have a second co-host as well. That would be just fine. So, very good. Perrin's doing good. I'm doing good. And believe it or not, my FBA business is doing really, really good.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited to share some of the most recent numbers from my Amazon FBA business. We've done a couple of guest podcast interviews, if you will. We had, of course, Scott Volker on a couple of weeks ago from theamazingseller.com, and then David Bryant from ChineseImporting.com about a week ago or so on the podcast, and they shared some great tips. And I've been taking notes right along the way as well. But in addition to that, I've been running my own Amazon business. And so I might as well just come out right and say it. It's going to be in the title of the podcast anyways. So it's not like some big reveal when I say this number. But in the last 30 days, my Amazon FBA business did right at $17,757 in revenue overall. So it's a huge number.
Yeah, these are the fun ones.
These are the fun ones. Yeah. You know, sometimes I feel like I blog so much about my failures, you know, things that happen in our business, you know, a site tanks in the rankings and whatever, you know, things happen. So it is nice to finally have sort of a high point in the business, a big reveal to say, hey, we're doing really well in the FBA business, and we have a lot of plans to grow that. So today I want to dive into that number. How did we grow it to almost $18,000 in the past 30 days in revenue? And what are we going to do to grow it from here? And so overall, the business is doing well, and I'm very, very excited. So
Big time.
Yeah, so that's the sort of message and the overall feeling that Perrin and I have right now with this business is that, boy, we've tapped into something that is very good, and we could grow it quite a bit from here.
And fun. I mean, from a third-party perspective, I guess second party, seems like you're having a blast. Are you?
I am. I really like this business. I'm not sure what it is. I think it kind of taps into my never-ending need for discovering new projects.
Yeah.
With this business on Amazon and selling physical products, yes, I have my now core set of products, but there's always more that I could be doing, right? So I love researching new markets and finding new ideas that, hey, I could launch a product in this category. I could launch one in this category, and I could expand this product line. And so there will be a never-ending stream of new possibilities in this business. And so, yeah, I love that. That is so much fun to me. It's kind of a problem that I have.
I know. I mean, I think people would laugh if they heard all of the ideas we've had and really seriously thought about and then shot down for ourselves. Like, you know, 2 weeks later, I think we both have that problem. All three of us, you, me, and Jake, all have a thing where we get an idea and we're like, man, with our resources, we could do this and this and this. And sometimes we have to rein ourselves in. But it's a good thing you kind of followed your nose on this one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's paid off quite well. And so I've given the big income number. I do want to break down the timeline to give people an idea of how quickly we've gotten there. That honestly has even blown me away how quickly we've gotten here. So I launched my very first product on March 28th, 2015, and that's about 4.5 months ago. It's mid-August right now as of recording this podcast. So March 28th, 2015, I launched my very first product on Amazon, listed it for sale. And it did very well right out of the gate, basically. By April 29th, 30 days later, I had sold $4,400 worth of the product. And then on May 7th, I ran out of inventory. I had ordered a very small batch of just 100 units to test the market. And after a little over a month, I ran out of inventory. And so then from May 7th until July 6th, I basically had no inventory and sold nothing whatsoever. And just because it took time to restock that inventory. And then on July 6th is when I basically got that inventory back in stock. And so from July 6th until, well, today, or, roughly August 10th, something like that, right, is when the income numbers are from. I did just about $18,000 in revenue. And so technically, I have been up and selling a physical product on Amazon for 4.5 months. However, I was out of inventory for about 2 of those months. So I've really only been selling on Amazon directly for about 2.5 months when I actually had stock, when I had inventory. So despite the very short amount of time, I've very clearly got a winner on my hands. And so, and also to give full disclosure here, that $17,757 in revenue is not all profit. The profit was around 45%, very close. So that's about $8,000 for the past month. So at that point, if you multiply 8,000 by 12, that's very close to a 6-figure net profit business that I now have on my hands if this continues for that next 12 months. And so, but I also believe that the potential is much greater than just $100,000 in net profit. I think there's a ton of room to scale this business. And so that's why I'm very excited, because I really am just getting started in this business.
So let's talk about that timeline versus the other timelines of your friends, because I know you're really good friends with Chris Guthrie. He's blogged a lot about his success. We've had him on the podcast talking about Amazon FBA. So how does your timeline compare to some of the other timelines we know about?
Ooh, I should have pulled up his blog, because I know he shared his monthly income reports. And I'm trying to think. He never had the issue where he ran out of inventory, I don't believe, at least not for an extended period of time. But I believe it was 4 to 5 months, I believe, before he was hitting the numbers that I'm hitting as well.
Right.
So we may have done it a little bit quicker as far as when we actually had inventory, but yeah. But generally speaking, yeah, I think it usually does take a good 4 to 5 to 6 months before you start to gain much traction with your products.
And that was going to be my next question. So for someone thinking about this on the other end of the microphone, is that typical, or how much of your success came from having some initial capital? What could someone investing a lower amount expect? And I guess how typical do you think, and I know we don't have a big sample size, but how typical do you think or guess these results are?
Yeah, just based on what I've seen and talking to people that I know, I don't think my results are typical. So I don't want to give people the false impression that they should be expecting to make almost $18,000 after a couple of months selling. I do not think that these results are typical. I think I've gotten there a lot faster, probably for a couple of reasons. One, like you mentioned, I did have the capital to invest. So that is required if you want to scale things quickly. But then 2, as much as I believed that I had found a great market and a great product, I think there was a little bit element of luck there. Right. I hit on perhaps even a bigger winner than I expected, at least out of the gate. So I had done all my research, and you can certainly do all your research and do the best you can, and it's just not as big a winner as maybe you think. So there was a small element of luck that I hit on a great product that sold very quickly that required very little marketing from me.
Yeah, for sure. And that even kind of scares me when I think about the process of getting there, because when you really started testing this out aggressively, we were at a low point in the business. And I think we were ready to kind of churn and burn through some ideas. And so if that first product hadn't sold really well, I'm not sure if we'd be doing FBA right now, you know?
No, that is true. We've talked about this on the podcast. I mean, with our authority site, it did okay, but the authority site kind of just stayed level. It wasn't on that upward trajectory that we were hoping. And I actually addressed this in a recent blog post, and so maybe I'll just dive into that now. Kind of the reason we shifted away from the authority site project is that very reason. You know, it was making... well, 1 month it made as much as about $3,000, but most months it was closer to about $1,000 per month. And so after about a year, we're still only making about $1,000 a month with the authority site project. And I was just looking at it and thinking, well, both of us, you know, this is going to be really hard to scale in this particular market. It's going to take a long time and a lot of effort. And we both felt like it was time, you know, let's cut our losses. There's some opportunity costs here. The opportunity cost is, well, we can't do Amazon FBA or we can't do other business ideas because we're focusing all our time on this authority site project. And so we made the decision to stop focusing there, move over to Amazon FBA and give that a shot. And boy, I'm glad we did, because it really was, like I said, only about 4 months ago where we didn't have this Amazon FBA business at all. And now it's, you know, almost $20,000 a month. And so I think our decision has been vindicated quite well in, you know, instead of trying to grow something that didn't want to grow on its own, we're now focusing on something that clearly has legs and is growing, honestly, with very little marketing, very little push from me. There's a market there for my product. They are you know, pulling it, right? You know, they're saying, give this product to me. I want it, and almost as fast as I can supply it, they're buying it.
Totally.
And so I do feel like we made a very good move, shifting our focus away from the authority site project. And I think that is a lesson that anybody out there listening can learn from, is the fact that if you've been struggling to build a business, whether that's you've been trying to build out niche sites for a year or certainly, you know, 2 years, or some other idea that you've been just trying for a year or two and it doesn't seem to be gaining any traction, maybe it's time to try something else, to stop doing whatever you're doing and try something different. And I don't want to name names, but I know there are some people out there, and in fact, there's even bloggers out there that, you know, they're maybe reporting their income every month, and every month it's $50 or $100, and they just keep trying, and they do this for 2 years. You know, maybe it's time to change your idea and focus on something else. So I don't want to come in as sort of a negative voice for people that perhaps are listening to this and say, you have a really bad idea and you shouldn't do it. That's not what I'm saying. But, you know, there are businesses out there that don't take 2 years, that don't take a year, maybe not even 6 months. You know, there are businesses out there that you can get started and can be doing quite well after just a few months. And on the flip side of that coin, I'm not trying to tell everybody to go into the Amazon FBA business, because there's tons of different ideas out there that people could be pursuing and doing that will make them a good living and will be a good business. And also, like I mentioned, I do think there was an element of luck with the amount of my success that I've had early on. I don't think that's typical, but I just wanted to share that little thought, that little idea for people to think about. Maybe they should think of changing course in their own business.
Yeah, totally. When I talk to my friends and family who want to be self-employed, want to have some sort of entrepreneurial pursuit, which usually comes from hearing about a penny shaved, if anybody reads Niche Pursuits, and a lot of my friends and family do, or hearing about some of my other sites that are doing well, what usually happens in the conversation is me saying, SEO has taken me like 2 years to feel like I'm really competent at it. You know what doesn't take 2 years? Washing windows, mowing lawns. Like if you really want to be self-employed, there are so many other ideas. But the big lesson from our Amazon FBA business is I think you just saw something you figured you would enjoy and you tried it and you had some initial success. So you did more of it. And then it kind of grew from there, So if something's not working, don't feel bad about ditching it and doing something that you like more. That's how a lot of successful entrepreneurs do it. And not everything's going to work for everybody. I mean, Steve Scott is rocking it on Kindle, and we tried Kindle and it did okay. It made us some money, but it just wasn't holding a candle to Amazon. So.
Absolutely, and that's a good point. There are a lot of things that people can do right away to be making some money. We're all looking for that passive, easy lifestyle type of business, but maybe that's not where you can go right away. And I do also want to mention, I think a lot of longtime listeners know my business well enough, and they know my journey to get here. I started building websites back in 2005, and I bounced from idea to idea, trying this and that, all sorts of things, even that I've never talked about before. I didn't quit my job until 2011. So for 6 years, I spent trying different ideas and failing. I failed a lot, and I failed a lot since. I've blogged publicly about those things. If you go over to my blog, you can see at least a few of the failures that I've had. I've had a failed iPhone app and other things that maybe we don't need to sort of rehash. But I think that's kind of the name of the game of being an entrepreneur, is that you're not always going to have home runs, but if you try perhaps enough ideas or think strategically enough in different markets or in different ways, you're going to come across that winning idea eventually.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe these things are related. So we know that you don't think your results are typical, and we know that some things are going to fail. So, and the listeners probably know that we have a total of 5 products on Amazon right now. So of those, now that they're all live and selling, what percentage of those are winners? What percentage of those are losers? Because I know we talked about this in the blog post.
Yeah, and so definitely product 1 is the big winner. So to clarify, the earnings actually pretty much 100% of the earnings that I just mentioned, that $18,000 or almost $18,000, is from one product. Mm-hmm. It is just from that one product. And that's basically because all my others really weren't up and selling until just very recently at the tail end of this 30 days. And so that one product is a huge winner. Product 2 is, and we've talked about this previously as well, is iffy. It's not selling really well. And I guess I won't go into too much detail, but essentially I'll just say that 2 of the products that I've listed aren't showing much signs of early success. And the other 2 new products that I have listed are showing early signs of success. So potentially I will have 3 successful products. At least that's what my early signs, and these last 2 products have only been up for a little over a week, so it's very early on. I'll know better in 30 days. But early signs, and the early signs are that they're making sales on their own without any marketing from me, no PPC, no promotions. These 2 products have been making sales. Very, very little, maybe 1 to 2 a day, and not every day, right? So just a few times. But that's a good sign. That's exactly what product 1 did for me. I didn't do any marketing, and it would make it'd make a sale on day 1, and then no sales on day 2, and then it'd make 2 sales on day 3, and then skip a day of making any sales. So, it kind of just on its own, people would find it and buy the product. And that's what's happening with these other 2 products that are potential winners.
Yeah, and really, when we think about it in terms of the percentage of success there, about half, I feel like is pretty good. I think anybody would be happy with that if, half of their business ventures were successful. And we have one that can pretty much make up for everything, even if they were failures. But it's really awesome to see those other 2 products showing the exact same signs of success as product one.
Absolutely. And it's not like I'm giving up on these two dud products, if you will. They're just going to take a lot more work. We've started a PPC campaign on one of those products, and I've started some promotions on the other one, on both of them. And so it's just going to take some more time. They might still turn out to be winners. I don't know. But it's going to probably take a few months to turn them around and turn them profitable.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, is that, it's awesome to have winners, and of course we enjoy the revenue, but the duds are where we're really going to try to learn the business, I think. Those are where we're going to try the PPC things. Those are where we're going to try different marketing angles, different types of reviews, different types of listings. So we love the winners, but where the actual learning is going to take place is going to be in the, quote unquote duds.
Absolutely. And so I also just want to kind of go over my plans for future revenue growth and future products, at least very briefly here, because I honestly do think that I can double or even triple the sales of just that first product. I've done very little to grow that business up and grow that product up into this point. I haven't done any Amazon PPC on that product. I'm not selling on Amazon internationally in the UK or Australia or any other big market. I'm not selling on eBay or other e-commerce marketplaces. I'm not selling on my own website, which we've started. And I'm not, of course, in retail at this point. That may be long term. I could do that. So there's a lot of room for growth on just product one. And I do think that I could double or triple the sales there. So if I were to double the sales of product one, not even triple it, that's $35,000 a month, a little bit over that. And if I were to ramp up product 2 and 3, my other potential winners, to about $15,000 a month each, which I do think is realistic if these products take off, that's another $30,000 a month. So it's kind of crazy to think, and this is me just dreaming a little bit. I'm not saying, hey, this is going to happen, and if this doesn't happen, I'm going to be angry, but I think it's okay to dream in your business. I think it's totally feasible that by the end of this year, my Amazon FBA business could be doing $65,000 a month just with those 3 products. Now, again, that's if there's no missteps along the way, if things grow as I think that they could. I think the market's there. I just need to fulfill sort of that market. So there's a lot of room for growth here. I'm very excited for those 3 products. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to share some of my growth plans, at least for these initial products.
Yeah, I think it's okay to dream too, and we shouldn't stop ourselves from doing that. What I'm really excited about, because it's what I'm working on, is that our little niche site that we're building around these products is actually selling some stuff. So I don't think we're actually reporting that in the revenue or giving any updates, but it's a brand new site. It's getting 10 or 20 visits a day at the very most, and it's already sold a couple of our most popular product one. So signs are looking good there too. And it'll be another way to grow, and hopefully we can implement some of the stuff that, say, Steve Chu does. But it's looking good on that front.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of our long-term plan outside of Amazon, is we do want to build up this website that's selling our own products so that, we just have that other source of traffic. And so we've started that. We started that website a couple of months ago. And like Perrin mentioned, it's starting to gain some traction. We actually have some rankings for some very small search volume keywords, but we are ranking naturally in Google. And we have made a couple of sales of my own product. We've also made some other affiliate sales, I believe, for other products on Amazon. So that's a good sign. That's going to take several months before it grows into anything, going to have any sort of large revenue numbers, I'm sure. I did think it would be interesting to talk about our most recent trial into Amazon PPC.
Yeah.
Because we did start a campaign, what has it been, about 10 days ago, something like that?
Yep.
A week and a half. We started an Amazon PPC campaign, paid traffic campaign for one of our products that was not performing very well. So to date, I'll go ahead and just share these numbers. We've spent $104.44, and we've made sales of $249.91. So it's been profitable as far as we're making more money than we're spending on advertising. So that's a good sign. So it's at least intriguing enough that I know I want to go into the budget and the targeting and tweak a lot of the things with this campaign to see if we can make it even more profitable.
So we sold about $200 in sales, and we spent about $100. But what was our profit from those sales, and how close was the spend to the net takeaway?
It's kind of a difficult number to come to, because if you also include natural sales that have come, there have been a couple of other natural sales that we didn't spend any money on. That might get us into the profitable range, right? But if you strictly look at how much it cost on advertising plus our manufacturing costs and all other costs associated with this, I think we're still running in the red here on the advertiser campaign. I'd have to, and I'm not trying to avoid giving specific numbers. I don't have my spreadsheet in front of me to show me all the breakdown.
And that's one of the things that Scott did tell us when he was on the podcast, was that he goes, quote, in the red sometimes because he knows that just by getting more sales for a particular product, you're going to raise your algorithmic value in Amazon's eyes. You're going to rank higher on their pages. And so even though it might look like you're in the red when you're spending money on advertising, you might get way more organic sales than you would have otherwise gotten if you hadn't spent that money on advertising. And we did get some organic sales, and we were really close to being in the black anyway, just from a raw number standpoint. Plus, I think the really exciting thing is that it was just an auto PPC campaign. It was not difficult to set up. We didn't do any keyword targeting at all. We just let Amazon run it. It was like 3 clicks total to get this thing going. And we're not spending a whole bunch of money on the campaign. I think it's $20 a day. And, a lot of other people are spending a lot more. So I think it looks promising for this particular product.
Yeah, and while you were talking there, I actually did pull up my spreadsheet so I can have some closer numbers. Again, I won't share exact numbers, but our net profit per unit is basically about $15 for each of these units that we sell. And so, I can see the amount of sales that I've made, so I can figure out, okay, well, we made $249 in sales. That means we sold 5 units, basically. So I can take that 5 units, multiply it by the 15. So that gives me $75 in profit that I made, but it cost me $104 to get that. So we did lose about $25 on paid advertising, but that it actually is pretty close.
Yeah.
So we lost about $25 so far on advertising, but we've also had some natural sales on top of that. So we're getting close, right? We're getting close to that range where, okay, maybe we can turn this profitable if we put in some more effort here.
Yeah, for sure. And it seems to be a cumulative effect, sales plus reviews. So as you get more sales and as you get more reviews, you get better rankings on Amazon. So if you're breaking even, then it can really work to your advantage.
Yep, absolutely. I agree. And so this is where a lot of the work is going to come in for these other couple of dud products that aren't performing well on their own, is jumping into the advertising, maybe seeing if we could do anything to improve our listings and that sort of thing, maybe additional promotions, giveaways to get some more reviews, to see if we can jumpstart those products. So we'll have a lot more to report on here in a couple of months, but that's where we are at overall with this business, and in particular with the paid advertising so far, this little experiment.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And so, I don't know if there's anything else we need to go into as far as why has our product been so successful. Maybe I'll just share my initial thoughts. Again, one of the big reasons that I believe Product One is doing so well is from lack of direct competition. And again, it's hard to explain without giving away what product it is. But basically, if you're to type in the main keyword phrase that people are going to type in to find my product, there's only maybe 2 or 3 other listings that really are targeting that exact phrase, right? That are really if customers typed in that phrase, there's maybe only 3 listings that would really fulfill that customer's wish. Okay, and so I was able to list up my product, and I think it was a little bit better than all the other listings. And, now I rank number 1 or number 2 on a few of these very exact phrases that people are searching for, and so my products are right at the top. So that's where I think most of my sales have come from, is just this long tail traffic. People are looking for a particular type of product, a particular feature of a product, and mine is one of very few that fulfills that request.
And I don't think and just to be clear, one keyword I don't think, unless it's crazy, is going to get you $18,000 in revenue. So we are also in a market where there's very little competition for like tons of these long tail keywords, which is where I think the real money is coming from.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's certainly coming from somewhere. Unfortunately, it's hard to track like where you're ranking for. Well, okay, you can know where you're ranking for keywords, but you can't know how much traffic and how many buyers are coming from each of those keywords. So it's a little bit of a guessing game, but certainly 100% of our traffic, or at least very, very close to 100% of our traffic, is coming directly from Amazon. We send a tiny trickle of traffic from our niche website, right?
Yep.
But well over 99% of all the traffic is just internally from Amazon, so it has to be us ranking for long tail phrases and maybe some suggested products or related products as well. So that's kind of a lesson learned, is that if you can find a product or a listing that has fewer competitors, and I think this just makes sense, that if there's only 3 or 4 people selling the product, your chances of ranking are so much better than if you are trying to go into a market or a product category where there's 10 pages of people selling this particular product.
Yeah, I think those are the ones where you really have to get aggressive with reviews and building a good listing and getting on that PPC. But not so if you have low competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I do, I kind of say luck, but I also will say that that's the entire reason that I listed this product in the first place, is because I couldn't find it. I wanted this particular product. I searched on Amazon. I even bought a couple of competing products, and I was like, dude, this is not at all what I wanted, right? And so I said, I bet there's other people that want my thing, and nobody's selling it on Amazon. So that is the whole reason I listed it, is because nobody was selling it on Amazon. So I will just say that was intentional on my part. The luck is the fact that, well, this market's maybe bigger than I expected. So
yeah, and that's just good old-fashioned market research, and of the best variety, actually trying products, finding a real hole in the market because you want that thing, and then selling it, So on the blog post, we have you have a section called Plans for Future Products, and I just want to get you to dream a little bit more here. I know we always preach against dreaming. We don't like dreaming. You should never do it. But I'm going to try to get you to dream a little bit here. So here are the things that you are brainstorming about on the blog post for growing this business.
All right.
Doing some Amazon PPC, selling internationally, selling on eBay or other platforms that we found for this particular market where our competitors are also selling on our own website, and then maybe going in retail. So obviously there's only so many hours in the day. You have to pick one to do next. Of those things, from your vantage point right now, which one are you most drawn to?
Well, we are already starting to see some early success with Amazon PPC, so that is the next one on the list. I mean, we've started to dive into that, and we're going to try and grow that more. So that one certainly is. Beyond that is our own website at this point. I'm not sure that I'm ready to dive into Amazon International or going to a completely different platform. And part of the reason for that is because it takes a lot. There's a long lead time to get my inventory, to get stock, to get my product manufactured. So a little bit of it is a manufacturing bottleneck, because if I were to suddenly expand to lots of marketplaces and go international, I just wouldn't have the inventory to fulfill all of that. At least I don't think at this point. So I am taking it one little baby step at a time while I figure out this business. So it may be another year before I ever try much of this besides the PPC and building out our own website.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and I think a lot of that is just we kind of want to do what we know first before we try anything else. You know, we know PPC and we know how to build Amazon sites. Plus, we have a lot of friends who are doing the exact same thing who can give us some good advice. So I'm with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I just kind of noticed that this section of my blog post, it's titled Plans for Future Products. I don't really talk about additional products, which I guess is kind of what the title might lead people to believe. I kind of talk about what I'm going to do with my newest products that I had just listed, right? But I also do have plans for new products outside of the 5 that I currently have, at least plans as far as I want to go out and be finding more products. So I haven't pinpointed exactly what that is going to be at this point, but I do plan on going back and doing some more market research and hopefully finding some areas where I can jump in and make an impact right away. So by the end of the year, I hopefully will have at least 1 or 2 additional products in addition to the 5 that I already have as well.
Yeah, for sure. And, building a website in this market, I've seen lots of brands who are selling specifically on FBA. So not like big retail brands you would recognize, but brands who are doing almost all FBA and they're selling products very similar to ours. And there's one area, and you'll probably know what I'm talking about when I say it, Spencer, where they are selling our type of product, but they're also selling a very big, very oversized, very expensive type of product. Mm-hmm. And I bet they're all making some pretty good money there just because even though it takes up a lot of inventory space and it's probably a pain to ship, they're expensive and I'm sure the margin is there. So it could be something to look at as well. I mean, it would probably be very different than to sell that type of thing, but might be worth looking at.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's certainly in the market that I'm already in, there's a few different ways that I could go, and certainly other products that I could get up and listed. I don't know the direction that I'm going to go at this point. I'm still kind of trying to get these current products up and running a little bit better, but I am still dreaming, of course, and that's what excites me. And so that's what I'm going to do is probably find whether it's a couple of products in this vertical or a different vertical. We'll see. But I do expect that in the next 2 or 3 months, I'm sure my head will have cleared enough where I can sit down and actually, get some new products up and going.
For sure.
So, I'm excited about this business to say the least. So this is kind of just a celebration podcast, if you will, and share with everyone what we've learned so far. In the last 30 days or so, we've done $17,757, and 45% or so of that is actual profit that I can put in my pocket or reinvest, and I'm going to be reinvesting in inventory and new products. Basically, is what as I've already mentioned. But things are going really well with the Amazon FBA business. Yeah. I'm excited. I know, Perrin, you're excited.
Oh, yeah.
And so, we're going to just keep sharing our journey as we go, and hopefully we can grow this significantly larger. I'm not satisfied with the numbers that we're at. I want to grow it quite a bit more. I really do.
That's right.
So with that, I don't know, do you have any parting words of wisdom for us, Perrin, or anything else you want to sort of give a highlight on?
Yeah, so in the last few podcasts, there have been several commenters just telling us to get on the PPC. I mean, every time, you guys got to turn on the PPC. You got to turn on the PPC. So we finally did. We've had some results, but I would love in the comments for you guys to tell us your PPC tips. So we're doing it. We just need you guys to tell us how to make it profitable. So give us some PPC tips in the comments if you can.
Absolutely. You can kind of short circuit our learning, if you will. It's one of those things that we could probably stumble along and learn it eventually. But hey, if you're willing to share your number one tips, we'll take that and just run with it. That would probably save us a couple of months. So I'm good with that. But other than that, I hope everybody else can find something we've shared here that they can utilize in their own business, whether that's direct tips that we've shared here for how to in their business, or maybe just motivation or something beyond that. I don't know. But thank you very much, everyone, for listening into the Niche Pursuits podcast. I love it when you stop by over at nichepursuits.com and leave a comment on any of the blog posts. I try to do a good job about responding to most of those blog comments. Or you can always leave a rating and review, which are always appreciated as well, over at nichepursuits.com/iTunes. So thank you again for listening in, and best of luck in your business.
Thank you.